Hi everyone. Hi Nadia. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
It's pretty early in the morning, 4:30 a.m. I guess it's your side.
Yes, it is. But I'm wide awake and ready to go.
Yeah. Great, great, great. Welcome everyone. I'll also introduce you to Dimple Parmar.
Hello
Hi there.
everyone. Hi. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's Healing Circle. I am really sorry we were facing some technical glitches today, so hence the delay in starting. Very happy and humble to be here since today's circle is going to be like every circle is unique, and so today's circle is also very special circle. We have Nadia with us, and she is going to walk us through the journey she has gone through with her sister, a very deep emotional and healing journey. So I am just I think that today's circle is going to be a bit emotional for all of us, because just by hearing your story, your journey, we were like, oh my god, there is more than cancer, there is more than this, there is a lot of things in this. So thank you so much, Nadia, for accepting the invitation, and thank you for joining us today. We will start with your journey, and I would like Kishan to introduce you about yourself, and then we'll take it forward from there. Just yeah.
Okay, great. First off, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to see how these circles work. I am a student at San Jose State University, currently will be getting my teaching credential after spring. I graduate. And I coach soccer. I've played soccer since 5 years old, and it's been a big passion. So now I coach two soccer teams, girls teams, and then I also coach the soccer boys middle school team over here too. So lots of soccer, lots of staying active. As we'll get a little bit more into it later, but my sister and I were very active and lived healthy and active lifestyles. So activity and fitness is a huge part of my life.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. We'll begin with the guidelines of the healing circle. So the healing circles are built on a foundation of kindness and respect. Circle participants agree to treat each other with kindness and respect, listen with compassion and curiosity, honor each other's unique way of healing, and don't presume to advise or fix or try to save each other. We hold all the stories shared in the circle with us. We trust each of us has guidance we need within us, and we rely on the power of silence to access it. We behave in a nurturing ways. When we are in a circle, we commit ourselves to listen with compassion, speak with intention, tend to the well-being of the whole circle. And it is all of us who are part of this circle and who make this circle a healing circle. So thank you once again. As my introduction, I am Dimple Parmar, and I'm a founder of Love Heals Cancer and Zenonco.io. We have my co-host for today's circle, Kishan, with us, and Kishan is also running Love Heals Cancer and Zenonco.io. We are running these two ventures together. So a warm welcome, everyone. I would request Nadia to please introduce yourself to the group.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Introduce myself again?
I mean the journey from where it began, and because we all know that you met your sister at an orphanage, and that's how you found out that you both are twin sister. So, and after that you started living together, and then all of a sudden she got diagnosed with colon cancer at a very young age. So can you please share that part of the journey when it all began?
Yes. So we were adopted at the age of 5 in St. Petersburg, Russia. And we apologize. We actually grew up as best friends in the orphanage, not knowing we were sisters. So we already had an incredible bond. I get that question all the time asking, oh, how do you not know your sisters? I think it's just because we had such a close relationship. We just didn't know we were sisters at the time. We just grew up as best friends. So then my parents were interested in adoption, and so they decided to adopt both of us. And the orphanage was we were very fortunate because the orphanage decided to adopt us together, which was really big because sometimes you don't get adopted together. So we were adopted at age 5, and we moved to the United States then. Whole different experience. I mean, we've had many different cultural experiences from Russia to the United States, as you guys can imagine. You know, a little funny story is, you know, we never knew what sleep was unless we slept. And so when we got to the United States, we saw my parents go to bed and we started crying hysterically because we didn't know what sleep was. And we thought it was death. So we got really terrified, and just those little, you know, just a different perspective and a child's view, that's huge, you know. And so it's just one of those things where different cultural experiences, different aspects of coming into your life, being at such a young age. And so then, you know, we grew up together as best friends, playing soccer. That was a huge outlet, especially through her diagnosis. And then, you know, we did what a lot of twins go through is we grew up going to the same high school, very close. We had different friends. We had the same friends. We had different hobbies, different relationships, and different parts of our lives. And then April 20th, 2015, she was diagnosed with colon cancer stage 4 at 25 years old. And, you know, you know, any kind of cancer at that age and even younger, which I've have friends that unfortunately have had those experiences. It's just one of those things where you don't realize you have it. And, you know, my biggest intake on all this is cancer doesn't discriminate in age.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things where she had symptoms, but she prolonged for so long because she knew, you know, you know your body the best. And so she kind of shook it off thinking it was just stomach pain, because she did have, as much as we were healthy throughout our whole lifestyle, she did have as much as we had a healthy lifestyle, she did have stomach pains quite a bit throughout her life. I don't think it was caused to this, but it was just more of like, okay, well, you know, I ate something bad. So she was, you know your body. She was diagnosed April 20th of 2015, and she had stage 4 to begin with. So it was a completely emotional start. And, you know, we did our best. She was a complete fighter till the end. And then she passed peacefully. She made that decision herself, December 2019.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 2016.
Yeah, that's okay. So when she was diagnosed, did she have any symptoms before the diagnosis, which we by chance ignored?
Yes. So she had the common symptoms for colon cancer is bloating, blood in stool, stomach pains, and weight loss. And she had almost all 4 to begin with. But again, you know, she shook it off to begin with. And it wasn't necessarily that she wanted to come in. My parents were actually in Europe when it happened. And so we were home by ourselves, and, you know, she wasn't feeling good, and she kind of kept us away from a lot of people, and she told one of her best friends. And then the moment that we went in and got tests for her done, she found out that she had cancer. So it was definitely a few months before that it happened. And, you know, and of course, if you continue to wait, it's not as good. And stage 4 colon cancer is, if you can't catch it at a good stage, it's very unfortunate sometimes. I've seen a lot of people recover, but I've also seen a lot of people not, because it's a really tough cancer to battle.
It is. And that reminds me of my late husband who had colon cancer. And we have a very similar journey where Nitesh was diagnosed with colon cancer 3C at the age of 25.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had standard treatment for 1 year. His symptoms were, before he was diagnosed, as you rightly said, he had weight loss, he had severe constipation, he had
Mhm.
severe back pain, and he would, feel like bloating and not eating. He ignored it for 3 months because, as young people, we feel that maybe our lifestyle is like that. He was in the tremendous stress also. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
your sister had that, but Nitesh was in under big stress for 4 or 5 months, and then he was diagnosed with cancer. So he did not sleep well for months, and then because of the stress and the work he was surrounded by, and then he
Mhm.
started developing these symptoms which he ignored. But then when it became unbearable, when the pain was unbearable, that he was not able to sleep, and then also he had rectal bleeding, so he thought that it's piles. So he went
Mhm.
to hospital, but then doctor knew what it is, and they asked him to do colonoscopy, and then they found out that it's third stage cancer.
Oh
So
man.
very unfortunate, especially when young people they get diagnosed with cancer such as colon cancer. It's really difficult to cure. Um,
Absolutely.
but on the contrary, I know many young people as well who had colon cancer at young stage, and then they also survived. So it really depends on the time of diagnosis, the surroundings, and the kind of lifestyle you're leading, and many other genetic factors as well. I'm really sorry to hear about your sister, and
Thank
I
you.
just pray that other people who are going through the similar journey gets all the support and the right guidance at the right time. And we all youngsters, we should not ignore our health and really look at the symptoms if there is any, and then uh, meet the doctor, or take the actions at the right time, then before it's too late. Because we always say that prevention is better than cure, but what if there is no cure? So
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
yeah.
And going back to kind of what you said, it is really a cancer that I think I wrote in my book that statistically you are supposed to be getting checked for colonoscopies about 50. It's now dropped down to 40, either 40 to
Yeah,
45.
yeah, right,
And it's increasing in young quite
right.
a bit. And so it's a very unfortunate cancer to have. However, with the technology we have these days, you can, if they do see a polyp, you can get it removed, and that other cancers don't have that technology to show that you have the pre-cancer.
Yeah.
So that's really, really fortunate.
So, Nadia, when she was diagnosed with this, and pardon me and feel free to ignore my questions, or stop me right there if it is getting emotional, if you're not able to talk about it. So I totally understand this. So when she was diagnosed with this, how did you and your family took this diagnosis and the big shock of the entire cancer journey? Because I'm sure nobody's prepared for cancer. We don't know how to take actions, how to, we all learn it from the scratch. So, how did you take the trauma of initial diagnosis?
Everyone's journey is different. And because my sister and I were so close to each other, I think we really we didn't stop life. I actually continued to work. I continued to have a normalcy, which I think is really, really big because with the event that happened in a saddening situation, I wasn't stopping my life for my sister's health, and she wouldn't have wanted that for me either. And it's kind of interesting because we had a relationship where we never wanted to see each other upset, and so a lot of the phone calls, a lot of the communication that we had through each other was actually through text communicate, or text, email, phone call, Facebook, because we didn't want to physically see each other at our worst. And I truly believe in twin empathy. I really think that really is something that twins go through. And, I always wanted to see her at her best. So even though it was sometimes hard at home to see her at her worst, I was always there for her. I was always, helping with meal plans, taking her places. And the other thing too is she never defined she never let cancer discriminate her, because the thing is she lived life to the fullest. I mean, there was one day where she was going through chemo and she played 8 games of soccer within a week.
Oh
And
my
yes, it was
goodness.
too much.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that is our passion. That was our outlet. That was something we could cope through together. Even when she couldn't cope through it, she was there watching me play. So we had just an incredible bond. And I think that's what really helped us stick together no matter what the results were. I actually, it was, at first it was very shocking, obviously. And it still hasn't processed to me. It wasn't at that stage where she had something wrong. And given the fact that my mom, her parents passed away with cancer when I was younger,
Okay.
as much as we're adopted, cancer runs a lot in our family. And my mom, when she was going through this, she had a completely different perspective than me, because she knew she had the experience behind her. So with me going into this new, I was there for her. I made, we had a shower card for her. We have a soccer community out here with Brandy Chastain. She's a former national soccer player, very famous. She came over. We've had a relationship with her since we were 5, going to her camps and stuff. And when she found out, it hit the big soccer community. So we were, we're very well known. She was very well known here, and we're very well known here. I'm very unfortunate for that, because it wasn't just our family being able to cope with this. It was also, a community behind us. And of course, all of my family members, my mom, my dad, and my sister, we went to counseling as normal. And it's nice to go to counseling. And if anyone ever needs to go to counseling, it's great, because you love your parents and you love your family, but they know you and they will tell you what you want to hear. And if you go to someone that you don't know, someone, that keeps things confidential and between you and doesn't judge you, it's easier to have an outlet like that. And so I think I think that's something that's very, a lot of people don't realize, sometimes you get scared to go to a counselor, but it really does heal you inside. So I think that's a big part of our coping mechanisms.
And very important thing you mentioned here, which also, and I'm wondering, why did not I think about this before? You mentioned that it's totally okay to visit a counselor and you have your family with you, but then they know you and they know what you want to hear. So it's important that you visit a counselor. So thank you for sharing that insight. We have,
Absolutely.
yeah, we have someone with us by the name Oppo A5 who wants to ask question. So you may ask your question, unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can also write your questions, or not just questions, but anything you want to share from your journey. You can unmute yourself and share it, because we would love to hear from everybody's experiences. Like me and Nadya, we are sharing our experiences. Feel free to share yours as well. Please unmute yourself and then share it. Thank you. Yeah, even Nadia, to us, when we got to know the diagnosis, initially it was 3rd stage. And as youngsters who are studying, and also we had our startups, we took this diagnosis very normal. As in, it's okay, we'll go through the treatment and it will be over soon in 1 year. So we did not know that after 1 year, the dark clouds which are coming to catch us. So after the diagnosis, the treatment got over, and like today the treatment got over, and tomorrow he was diagnosed with last stage cancer with multiple tumors throughout the body. So very unfortunate part, and it came as a big shock, big trauma to all of us, where we did not know how to handle this trauma, because we were about to start a new life, and then the diagnosis came where everybody said that he has 6 months to live. But Nadia, what I see here, when you begin the circle, you mentioned that she accepted it and gracefully she merged, and then she decided to give a closure or end this. So I'm sure before that there were a phase where you were doing caregiving for her. So can you please share your insights it doesn't have to be like the positive or happy always. I'm sure what caregivers go through. I was a caregiver once, so I can really understand it. So can you please share what it was like being a caregiver to your young sister?
Yeah. So a couple of things. Being a caregiver, sometimes they're very overlooked because it is about the patient. However, the caregiver needs to have the care for themselves and the time for themselves because they are caring for one. So I do think strongly sometimes caregivers are overlooked. And I think that's the reason why my story is so impactful, is because it's a caregiver's experience. Um, uh, and I just think that like um, going through as a caregiver than the patient, of course, there were multiple aspects that we had, multiple perspectives we had. Um, I felt horrible that this happened to my sister. I always thought, why not me? It's just one of those things where you feel so hopeful or hopeless, and you can't help them, because watching someone in that much pain, even though they hide it so well, you still going back to twin empathy. You know how they feel, just because you have that bond and that relationship with them. So I think the biggest thing about it is having someone else go through it, where when you love someone so much, you feel that you want to take that. I know it sounds very emotional and sounds a little corny, but it's true. You don't ever want something to happen to them with
Yeah,
the ones that you
right.
love. So I think that's a big thing is you know you're trying to cope with your emotions, you're trying to cope with their emotions, you're trying to be there for them, and you just try and make the best of it.
Yeah, yeah,
You also want to, you're supportive of them. I was always supportive of of Vera's decision. We called her V, so if I say V, that's her nickname. But when she passed away, as time went on, we had some hospice for her towards the end. She passed away 4 days after Christmas. So we knew it was pretty, the doctors never knew how long she had to live. I never knew, and my mom had her perspective on this because, again, she's been through a lot of this experience herself. So she knew that as soon as she saw her getting in pretty bad shape, she knew it was pretty time. And I'm over here kind of being positive. Of course, I want to be, but also not know as much as not know the experience behind it as much. So I'm just helping and supporting her. So when she peacefully, what I mean by, she told the doctors, she told her, our parents, to walk outside of the room. I was, of course, coaching at the time and nannying. I was nannying for a family. And she went to the doctors and she said, "Mom, Dad, can you please leave the room?" And that was when she told the doctors, "I want to stop chemo. This is ruining my body. It's time." And so we got that decision, or we made, she made that decision on herself, on her own. We completely supported her. Of course, like, you never want the outcome that we got, but knowing that she's at peace is just amazing,
Yeah,
especially with the journey that we went through. So you never want this outcome, of course, like I mentioned, but you have to be able to support one another, and you have to put yourself in your shoes, and I mean in her shoes, and think of what you would want at that time. So when she decided that, we knew it was time, because she was one of those girls that she was determined all the time to make sure, in a soccer game, I'm going to get to that goal. I'm going to get to that goal. I'm never going to give up. And so if she ever gave up in life, it was for the very little things. And having her know that her time was up was a big thing. It wasn't that she wanted to give up, but it was just one of those things where that's how hard it was on her, knowing that it was time. And so we supported her as much as possible. And
yeah.
that was, yeah.
And if I have to ask you this, I mean, as you were talking, and I can totally imagine what your family must be going through this entire journey, and it was not easy for your sister Vera to take this decision on her own. It's very brave of her that she was able to take that call to stop the chemo and merge with the light. So and we did not have guts to take that call, because um, when we couldn't see any other way, we thought, why not chemo? And that ultimately killed him. So she was a brave heart who were able to take that decision to stop that and then accepting the fate. So yeah. So what's your insights for other caregivers who are going through the similar journey? What would you like to share with them?
I think honestly, like I mentioned earlier, every outcome is different, every journey is different. But what I do want to tell everyone is, uh, even through a bad outcome, I've been able to keep my life together and stay positive. I feel that I've really helped a lot of people, and especially helping spread my story around, given the fact that she was so young. If I can save one person's life, that helps, because people just don't understand that colon cancer is in the young. And I just feel that when if you can make a impact in one person's life, to have them go get checked. I've actually had friends that have reached out to me and said, wow, you saved my life, because I had no idea that I had colon cancer, and I went to go get checked because you told me about all the symptoms. And for me, that's just amazing. And even though I've had a rough situation that turned into something absolutely saddening, I do feel that it has impacted many, many people in a positive way. So I definitely think that even through rough times, you can get through them. I also think that you are not alone. For any caregiver out there, for any cancer patient survivor, you are not alone. There is a whole community behind you
Yeah.
that is there to support you, guide you for anything that you need. So I just think that for people that do go through this, it is something that um, can be dealt with in ways where you cannot even imagine. And I think you can get more positivity out of it, no matter what the outcome is.
Right.
Okay, that's very well said. It's the positivity and the optimism with the hope that one day it will all be fine, and that one ray of hope keeps us going, motivating, and giving strength to walk on this path.
Yeah,
Take care of
absolutely.
yourself, to take care of the person who is having cancer, and to take care of the entire family and other things. So yeah. So when Vera was going through the journey, and she said that she doesn't want to take chemotherapy and she wants to end this, right? So when she took this
Hmm.
decision, what was your say on that? But were you
Um,
fearful that if you stop it, it might spread, or you should not stop your chemotherapy, or anything?
Honestly, when you go through one of these things, it's so up and down throughout the whole entire journey. And it's like a fast car. It's like it never stops, and like you're just going, going, going. And you're like, okay, it's almost like you have to just go with it. But when she told us, it was kind of like, okay, I need to prepare myself mentally. I wasn't really mentally preparing myself how I'm going to live life without her, because I didn't think it was real. You really don't. Uh, it's a very it's a very hard thing to explain. Um, Not that I don't want to. It's very hard to put into words. The experience behind it all is just, you don't realize how life is so precious until someone is gone that you love. And when she made that decision to let her self go, we supported her, and I had multiple talks with her before she passed. And I think she was holding on for us. And it is true. I don't know if some of you guys have heard this before, but the closest ones to you, they will never pass away by you. And so actually I was with her for the last 24 hours other than sleep. But her room is right next to my room. And so she was at home at this time, and the last 24 hours I was with her, and I just needed a 5-minute break, like absolutely just 5 minutes. I was like, okay. So I walked into the living room, laid on the couch, took a deep breath. My mom was in with her, and my dad was actually outside planning some things with family. And my dad gets a text message, and he walks in and he goes, Nadya, Vera passed away. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the crazy part is like, as much as I would want her, or I would want to be with her when she passed, when she took her last breath, I'm glad I didn't, because that's not the last thing I wanted to see of her. My last memory was with her, was holding her hand and saying, it's time to go. Like, you can go. I love you so much. And I know, again, that is very emotional to say, very emotional to share. But it is reality. And I think that probably would have been, or that is better for me to remember than being able to see her breathe one last time, And so it's just one of those things where it comes so fast. She was, I believe she was on hospice for about 4 or 5 days. So it wasn't too long, because she lived for 8 months with cancer. So it was pretty bad to begin with, but the chemo wasn't working, then it was working, and then her body was just shutting down from it, because she was getting so much of it. And unfortunately, chemo does affect, of course it affects you, but it affects you in different ways, and it changes your body. Like, it's not you. And I remember Christmas morning, we have all these traditions that we had, especially Christmas time. We came around Christmas time, so that's our favorite holiday. So we have these good memories, and now we have these memories that we need to be able to cope with and adjust to. But I remember Christmas morning, she was lying on the couch and she couldn't even open presents. And we were to the point where it was like, all right, this is reality. We're going to give her as much comfort. We're going to give her as much support. We're going to tell her how much we love her 24/7, but whatever happens, happens. And again, as hard it is to have not a sister anymore, it's amazing to feel that she's okay.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Nadya. And we'll take a minute of silence to just absorb what you have just shared, and pray for your sister and Nitesh that they both are happy, they both are okay and at peace out there. We'll just take a minute of break. Thank you. I'll totally relate to this, and everybody goes through different experiences. Here, Vera took the call of stopping the treatment, and there Nitesh and me, we could not take that call. So he took more than 30 cycles of chemotherapy. Many people advised us against this. They were our well-wishers, and they said that don't take more chemotherapy because he has crossed the limit where it's going to help him, or rather it's more harming him. But we were scared that what if we stop the treatment and it might spread all of a sudden, but that's not how it happens. We were ill-educated in terms of cancer and how it grows, how it happens at the end. We were not educated on end of life conversations. We never had those conversations except one time where his results were bad and he said that I don't want to die. I was upset with him because he was not following a very I would say good lifestyle, where the things he's supposed to do, the things he's supposed to eat, and of course because his body was giving up and we did not know that. So he would throw up everything, and then he'll be like but he was also spending more time on gadgets, and I was getting irritated on that Nitesh, you should walk more, meditate, read something, chant, or eat this, but not spending more time on gadgets. But that was his passion. So this is what he wanted to do. So when the reports came bad and he said that, Dimple, I don't want to die. And I remember we were sitting in the park in California, and we just received the reports, and this is the first and last time I heard from him about death, because we never had those conversations. We never accepted that you are dying in 3 months, you are dying in 2 months, rather, while doctors were giving us constant reminder that he has 3 months left, and he would only ask doctor, how much time do I have? So and when it happened, we both were not ready to accept that. And I remember that when one night, he was sleeping, but he was not able to sleep, so he was like lying down, and because his lungs were choking. So yeah, so the last 2 days he was, I don't know, we had pin drop silence in the home, only we two were there. And I could sense something is wrong, and I called a doctor, and he said that he was a family doctor in US, and he said that, Dimple, if this is the situation, then let nature takes its course. And I was like, what are you saying, doctor? I called you to find a solution, not to tell me to give up and stop everything. So for me that time, stopping everything means giving up. Well, today I don't think about stopping the treatment in the same way as I used to think before. And then all of a sudden one night he said that, I'm not able to breathe. He did not even say that because he was not able to speak. And then he ended up immediately, he just lost his breath, and I called 911, and they immediately admitted him in ICU. Yeah, and then that time also, a few people told me to let him go. They told me that, no, Dimple, just let him go, push the button. You just, I mean, you have to press a button, and then the ventilator will stop, and then he will pass away. And I was like, what are you saying? Because, and then, and we are not, we don't learn talking about death or talking about end of life conversation. It's all new happening to us. So when this happened, and then whenever Nitesh was coming into consciousness, whenever he was writing something to share with me or with the doctor, I doctor was telling me to tell him that it's time to go. They were telling me to tell Nitesh that you are dying. Any last words you have? But I couldn't tell this to him. And I told doctor that I am the only hope he has left. And if I tell him that you are dying, then he will definitely give up, and he would not have any hope after that. So I did not tell him that you are dying, because I did not believe in that, honestly. Until the last day, I had hope, because I took permission from the doctors and gave him so much of the other alternative medicines, the other alternative modes of treatment. He was unconscious, but he was feeding through the feed pipe and all. And then I did not give up that I will try everything, because I believe that I have hope. And even people have come back from near death experiences, then why can't he? If with that hope I got married to him and I did everything what I did, then why today I'm giving up when everything depends on my hope or what he's thinking. So he was in ICU for 23 days. And one day I got the reports that that the liver and everything is coming back to normal, except the parts where he had cancer. And that day I was laughing, and I mean, I was smiling, I was dancing, and I told doctor, that doctor hugged me, that, Dimple, this is a miracle. His parameters are coming back to normal. And we were like, wow, he's going to get better now. And I was chanting day in, day night, and many other spiritual things I was doing. But unfortunately, after 2 days of that day, when his reports were good, because of some manual intervention from the doctor, his heart stopped. And then there was a time when I had to take a call whether to bring him back or let him go. When the code blue happens. So and in just a second he was gone. In just 4 or 5 seconds, his heartbeat came from 130 to directly 100 and 90, 80 and 70 and 60 and 40. And then all machines started beeping, and then nurses said he's dying. I was like, his reports were good, he's not dying. because I know what this doctor did. The nursing attendant did not do well his job, and and then they said he's gone already, and I could see that straight line of his heartbeat. But then I had a few seconds to decide whether to bring him back through CPR and other practices to resuscitate him, or he's just gone. And I had, in that moment, I was not able, because I had just few seconds to decide, and I did not see that coming. So I told doctors that bring him back. They all advised me against it, but I was like, his reports were good, and that's the hope I have. That's the only hope I have, because his reports are good. They did code blue. They did bring him back, but the way they brought him back, I couldn't see that. I was cursing myself. That day, I cried a lot. After his death, I did not cry that much compared to the day I did this to him. And I was like, no, am I hurting him? Am I helping him? His parents were not there when he when his heart stopped beating, because it all happened all of a sudden. Usually there is a pattern, first BP comes down, your other parameters come down, but in his case it was matter of seconds. And then I decided to bring him back. He did come back, but the process was not good. I would not put again anybody in that situation, because we never had those end of life conversations. I don't know how he wanted to die. We all know how to live well, but we don't know how to die well, because we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I simply don't know what he wanted to do. He came back. Anyway, he had 2 pipes in his mouth, and then after that there were 3 pipes. I was like, what kind of life is that? What kind of state he is in? I was not able to decide on anything. That okay, but since that day when his heart stopped, and I told God that now my prayers are changing. All this while I prayed that he recovers and bring back to normalcy. But now I'm saying that he lives in peace and comfort wherever he is, be it here, be it there. And the 14th March 2018 was the day when he took his last breath in the morning at 10 a.m. So the coincident part is that he chose that day, which is 14th March, and me and Nitesh, when we met first time, it was 14th December. When we went on a first date, it was 14th August. When we got when there was Valentine's Day, when he got placement, some companies was 14th date. So and then when we got married, it was 14th August. So one day, like 3 years back, I was telling, I was messaging him that, Hitesh, what a coincidence, all these special dates are falling on 14th only. And then he wrote that 14th March dot 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 in a very calm smiley. And I was like, I don't remember what happened on 14th March. And then he did not reply to that. And then he chose that day, 14th March, to go. And maybe that's what he meant with that. I don't know if it is a coincidence or what this is, but this is what happened. And many other things as well. So end of life conversation, something which I did not do. And that's conversation which we do now with other cancer patients, in terms of putting their wishes first, asking them how they want to die. And even today, me and Kishan, we talk about it, that if anything happens, and God forbid, if we are in that situation where there is a dead end, then please let me go. And he also says the same, because death is we get scared from it, but it's a beautiful concept. And we learn death, we start living life. So again, your sister Vera, who decided, and then she immersed within the light. It's such an, I would say, a very brave journey. And she, when she took her own decision to do this, because what I have seen in my experience when I am now working with cancer patients, 90% of the people, 95% of the people are not able to take that call, that I will die in 3 months, 2 months, 1 week, and then I will stop the treatment. They stop the treatment when body is not able to take it, and maybe now you have a few weeks left, and then that's the time they stop the treatment. So, and while patient says that they want to stop, but caregivers are not ready. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, what you mentioned there that really like lit up my eyes were, you don't realize how strong cancer patients can be.
yeah,
And I think that's what really tests them. And, everyone's different, but like for caregivers, sometimes that person. So you're like, oh, I don't know if she can take that. But wow, you surprised me because you could. Because she went through it. She, her mentality the first few months were like, I got this, like, I'm going to beat this. Probably because she didn't experience it enough, not know behind it, the knowledge. Um, but the fact that, like, even though she maybe knew that, she would probably still take it as a positive fight. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's just so unfortunate for people to have cancer, but I
yeah,
do think strongly that a lot of people that do take this journey, they are very positive. And I think that really helps us today with the word cancer. Is it's such an ugly word, but there are so many people that are so positive throughout their
yeah.
journeys. That's what helps us.
Definitely. Yeah. And there are many people who are listening to this conversations, who are watching us. We would also invite them also in some time to share their experiences. They are cancer conquerors. They have gone through the journey, survived it. I would say conquered it, not just survived it. So,
That's awesome.
and also, and I'm sure that now when I think about Nitesh or this entire experience with cancer, uh, I get a sense of satisfaction, a proud feeling of what I did for him or what you did for your sister, how you stood with herself to take care of her. And after that, the book which you wrote in her memory and the many other things as a patient advocate you are doing for other cancer patients. I feel that, cancer comes in our life. Maybe we are directly affected by it or indirectly. It teaches us the most important life lessons.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
gives us a
absolutely.
purpose. So want to hear from you, what's your purpose, what was your inner calling with this entire experience?
I think my purpose in life is just to, my sister always said, there are no bad days, there are just bad moments. And I live through that every day because I know I'm very fortunate with the life that I have. I'm healthy. I get to play sports. I go to school, I have an education, and it could be worse, So it's just one of those things where, as much as cancer has affected me in multiple ways, and, including other family members, you just can't take life for granted. And going through one of these things really reassures that, definitely.
Yeah, right. So this book which you wrote in your sister's memory and your
Mhm.
experiences, can you please walk us through that?
Yes. So it's funny because my friends were always telling me, you should write a book because your life is so interesting. And I just said, why? Like, I don't know what I would write about. But the more I grew up, a lot of people were like, wow, it's not just the cancer journey. Your life is like, the punchline is when we were adopted, not knowing we were best friends. We were sisters at the time. We grew up as best friends. And it's just crazy because um, being able to write this book is almost like a coping mechanism. It lets me heal in some ways. And, I have it with me right now. So if anyone wants to buy it, half the proceeds go to American Cancer Society.
Wonderful.
You can get it on Amazon Books. It's called Finding Faith and Hope. And I don't want to say too much about it because you guys can read about it if you're interested. But our names in Russian mean faith and hope. And so the title comes from finding myself within myself after my sister passes. Um, so it starts with our life in Russia. It starts with growing up together, the cultural difference, the child's perspective rather than the adult vision of growing in a different country. And so then it talks about our high school, it talks about our soccer relationship, it talks about twin empathy. And then at the end, it talks about a caregiver's perspective as in the, I think it's the post chapters. And then it also talks about what I'm doing in my life now. I've been able to cope a lot of cope in many ways from this because I've been able to share my story. And I think sharing a story like this one, it's so unique and so inspiring, I say. And I just feel that if I, again, going back to kind of what I said earlier, is if I can make a difference in someone's life, that helps me. And I think a lot of people can't share their story. I'm very fortunate that I'm able to share my story. So it just seemed fitting. My friend and I kind of over Facebook one day, I just said, how do you write a book? And I just opened up a Word doc and I started writing all my thoughts, what I would put in it. It took about 4 months to write. It's a very small memoir. And so it's a memory of my sister, but it was also something that really made me feel powerful. Like, yes, she passed away, but what am I going to do about it? And I've been able to help others with the story and the situation that I've had.
Wow, wonderful. And it's not just your you two stories, but it's also many other people's journeys and the experiences which we all go through, because everybody go through almost similar experiences, and I'm sure many people would get inspired by her journey, by your caregiving journey, and the wonderful work you are doing with American Cancer Society. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, you never know where your life goes and it'll take you, and you got to make the best of it. And I know that my sister wouldn't want me to be upset and not living my life. So I continue to live for her. I play soccer all the time. I'm still, and going back to kind of what I said earlier is like, I lived a normal life while she was sick. I never stopped my life. So it was a lot easier for me to be able to cope with this situation. Not that at any means it is very easy to let go someone, but it is a lot easier when you are able to control what you want to be able to do in your life while having these tough situations. So again, this book, it means so much to me. It's so personal. I've put so much hard work into it, and I just hope that whoever reads it will get a really good, powerful impact from it.
Definitely. So when you talk about the powerful and impactful journey, what lessons you want others to take from your journey?
I think the biggest lesson is get checked if you have symptoms. Do not hesitate. Push as well, because some doctors, I know that they go through medical school and stuff, but there are times where they could be misdiagnosed, and this is definitely one of those things, or definitely one of these circumstances that could happen. I just feel that with their power of knowledge, it's great to have that, but keep pushing, because they could be misleading you into not being able to know if you had it or not. And then just live life. If it comes to you, I don't want you to I'm not saying don't just brush it off, you have cancer, but lean on people, because for the longest time, I grew up, probably because of my cultural background, because we were in an orphanage. We were very independent girls to begin with. So when my sister passed, especially when my sister passed, maybe a little bit before, I was very independent. I never asked for help, and asking for help is huge. I just think that it makes a huge difference when you do ask, and it's not a burden on someone if you have to be able to ask them. I think those are my two intakes is, get checked, because cancer doesn't discriminate in age, but also ask for help when you need it, because it can come a long ways, and you don't realize if you're helping that one person, because they might be in those situations as well.
Yeah, right. Thank you for sharing those lessons from your journey. And I'm sure others would learn from your experiences, because cancer is all about learning from each other's experiences and not repeating the mistakes, and uh, living a good life, whatever number of years or months it is. We cannot maybe add life to years, but we can add we cannot add years to life, but we can definitely add life to the years or the months or the days or weeks we have with our loved ones. Yeah, and the way I remember Nitesh now, I don't remember, that he was a smart, talented IIT, IIM guy or like that. But what I remember about him is that he is a person very strong-headed, very strong. He never once said that I cannot take it anymore. He never once told me that why it happened to me, why at young age I have to suffer like this, or I'm not able to take any more medicines, any more chemotherapy, any more this. He never complained about chemo as well. Taking 30 plus cycles of chemotherapy is not it's just not possible. But then he took it. He had many bad effects. He would bleed from the mouth. He would had blisters on the scalp, on the back. His mouth will swell like this, and many other things. But then never complained about it. Today if I get fever, if I get right now I'm having a mouth ulcer. So if I have just this much of thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm not able to eat, I'm not able to sleep, I'm not able to drink water because I have mouth ulcer. And then I remember that, oh my god, I was with Nitesh, and never once he complained that just stop it or I cannot do this. Always he was trying. Every day, every moment, he was at least trying. So that's the way I remember about him, that he wanted to, at the end, he was a pure transformed soul who wanted to do something good for other cancer patients. And whenever I think about him in this way, you see the smile which comes on my face, that yes, cancer is a part of it was a part of the journey, and we did not ask for it, but it came. When it came, we accepted it. We tried to do our best. We tried to do every possible thing in this world to save him. But at the end, you don't get to choose when you want to go. It's whenever your time comes, you have to go. But and that's where I remember a very beautiful quote which I mostly say, it doesn't matter how many years you live, but what matters is how well you live in those years. So the way he lived in those years, it was just beautiful. And even he was at peace during last few days. The only memorable month which I have with him, like the beautiful, happy and memorable month, is the last month before he passed away, because that was the time when he was in his good full spirits. He would be inviting his friends from Colorado and other places that let's please come and visit me, and he would play with, not play as in actively play, but at least he would get engaged in the conversations and all. He would feel like celebrating Valentine's Day, the 14th February, and 19th February he was in ICU. So his actions were not showing that he's not doing well. So from heart he was very joyful, very energetic, but his body was giving up. So that's way how that's the how I remember him, that a very a guy who tried, a person who tried until the last moment. And then when the death came, he passed away peacefully, gracefully, and he had a smile on his face when he passed away. And that's the satisfaction which I carry. So want to hear from you, how do you remember, how you want your sister, how do you remember Vera now?
It's funny because it's not funny, but it's a coincidence that you mentioned that, because my sister was almost the same way. She had a smile on her face the whole entire journey. Whether it be a bad thing or a good thing throughout it, she always had a smile on her face. And the more I talk about her, just like you, the more I talk about her, she brings a smile to my face, because that's how I remember her. I don't remember her from her struggles through this journey. I remember her through her positive and her lifted spirit that got her through everything, because she was a girl that didn't take crap, and so she was just one of those girls where it's like, I have this, I got to deal with it. And, and again, coming from someone that doesn't know as much experience and knowledge behind what she really had, she took it. I think it may have been different, but I don't think it would have been that different that much. And she just had a positive mindset the whole time. And I remember our last happy moment, it was our birthday. And we were out with some friends and stuff. And, you know, as much as you're not allowed to like drink on chemo and stuff, it's not good for you. But she just, you know, she was able to have a good time. And I definitely know that after our birthday, that's when it went downhill. But it was really nice to know probably from the 8 months that she lived, as much as she had ups and downs between the 8 months, she, about 6 months in, she probably actually had a pretty good, you know,
Okay, yeah.
cancer journey.
Even Nitesh lived for 8 months after fourth stage diagnosis.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, we were blessed. I mean, as much as we wanted her to continue to live and stuff, I think I don't want to. I don't want to say it official or say it as much as I think I know, but I think the doctors did say it was only 3 months. So she did live more than she was expected to be.
Yeah.
And so having those 8 months were amazing, rather than, you know, you have cancer, you're going to pass away in a week.
Yeah.
So it was just very fortunate with how much time we definitely had with her.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and that I think, you know, I would ask this question to you for yourself, and then I would speak names one by one, and I would request everybody to take participation in the conversation. So my question is, when we die, when I die, when you die, how you want people to remember you, how you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I've actually thought of that before. Not dying, but being able to figure out how people remembered me. And it's kind of interesting, because when some close friend of mine or my family member dies, you always think about the good, the bad, you know, what they did well, what, you know, and I think that's exactly how I'm going to feel is, I do feel like, given my circumstances, I do feel like a lot of people are going to think, you know, she was very lifted, especially continuing to inspire people. You know, but I don't do this for myself, or I do this for myself. I don't do it for fame. I don't do it for success. I don't do it to get the goals and stuff. I do it for myself to be able to cope in ways that many people cannot be able to imagine. So I just feel like, I don't know what people would really say. I do feel like it would be a little bit uplifting and positive. But it is a very interesting question to come across. And I think that's the way I want to live my life, is if I had a timeline of when I knew something that was going to happen. And unfortunately, we're all going to come to that day where we accept death. But if I knew that, I think if everyone knew that, I think they would change their life around, you know. But it's unfortunate, because you shouldn't be able to change your life around just because of knowing that. You should be able to live the life that you want, the way you want it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Thank you for sharing that. And next, I would ask Kishan, how you want people to remember you.
Very difficult question, to be honest. Never thought about it. And I think somebody who was happy, always had a smile on his face, positive, took things in the right, positive manner. And I think this is how I will want to be remembered. Not by credentials or by what I have achieved or not achieved, or successes or failures, because those keep changing. But maybe the fact, or maybe maybe these are the things that I would like to be remembered for.
Wow. I can definitely vouch for this is the way he's living his life currently. So, yeah. So next we request Kavita auntie. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Nadya, especially to you. This is after what I've heard, and it's my first sitting here, and very emotional at the moment. But where my death is concerned, I would. I've given it a lot of thought, and I've already decided, told all my children, my husband, my relatives, don't cry over it. I've lived a wonderful life, had a wholesome life, and I really have nothing more to do now. And I don't want to just wait for my end, I just want to. So now I'm over 60 now, and oh, now I'm not going to commit suicide or anything. So as long as I live my life 200%, give more, and I completely realize that I have few years left, and I'm trying to do as much good as I can. I believe in karmic theory, and since I call it, since I've woken up, why not do good and improve my whatever life comes after I close my eyes. But I would like to be remembered as a loving mother, but also as a spirited young girl who loved life, lived well, was positive, and had lots of dreams, realized some of them, gave up some of them. But I'm happy where I am. I'm very content. I don't know about happy, but yes, I'm very content. I'm happy at my situation now, and I really don't feel that I have anything more to achieve. So I'm more on my inner journey, and just to be. There's nothing left. I'm not a great achiever. I'm not a. I'm in worldly view. I have not achieved anything in my life, but I'm just happy to be now. And as long as I breathe, I would like to live 200%. I have many medical issues, minor ones, diabetes and all. I don't think they're big issues, and so that's it. Okay, the body will degenerate, no doubt, but that is body's dharma. But the spirit still soars high, and I would like to be remembered as a positive, happy little girl. Thank you.
Beautiful. Wow. Lovely, Auntie. It felt like, listening to you more and more and more. Thank you. We'll just take a minute of break to absorb what Auntie has just shared. She is not mother to only 2 or 3 kids. She's mother to hundreds and thousands of kids, to us as well, and all of us. She's I'm just blessed to know her, to have her in our lives. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you for joining us and blessing us with your presence.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
God bless you all. Be happy.
Thank you. You too.
Let's just take a minute of break. Thank you. Next, I would invite Rohit. Hi, Rohit. Can you please share how you want people to remember you, and also request you to share a bit of your journey as well?
Yeah, hi Nadya and Dimple.
We can't
Thanks
see
for
you. Please show us your face. We want to see you. If you are okay.
yeah.
See, such a handsome boy you are. Why you are not showing your face?
So, first of all, thanks to both of you for sharing your story today. So, I think this is my fourth or fifth healing circle, but today was the most emotional one, the way you guys shared this story. So, you asked to share my story, initial part? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with the osteosarcoma knee cancer at the age of 11 in 2004. So as we were talking about the symptoms, so initially it was just a swelling in the knee, and my local doctor prescribed me Disprin for 3 days. But on fourth day, he could see something in X-ray and he asked for MRIs. And at that time, MRIs were not so common also, like they were not available in every city. So it was thankfully to that local doctor who was able to diagnose something at very starting stage and he prescribed us. So after that, I underwent 9 chemotherapy cycles and a knee replacement surgery at Tata Memorial. And I think it took around 1 year. So that was the mostly thing. And yeah, once you in the session said that prevention is better than cure, and what if there's no cure? But at the same time, I also feel what if there's no prevention? So if we just remove some type of cancers related to tobacco and all, most of the cancers they don't have any specific causes. We can say lifestyle causes, but we don't say that to a child, suppose who is just 1 year old or a 2 year old when they are diagnosed with cancer today. They don't have any, they have not done any such kind of lifestyle that they are diagnosed with that. So that's the thing that I was just going through. And when you ask like how would you like people to remember you, so I would like to say that if we can do something good for people before leaving. Yesterday, even whenever I go for my checkup at Tata Memorial, I see a lot of so many people outside hospitals. They don't know the direction where they have to go. And so yesterday, last time only when I went and I was standing in the queue, and one old lady came and she had a 2000 rupees note in her hand, and she said that मेरा कैंसर बहुत तेजी से बढ़ रहा है तो आप प्लीज मेरे को आगे जाने दो तो this is the story. From one side we all are able to connect because we all are linked to cancer in some or the other way, but in this way there will be other things also in which people are suffering or anything like that. So we can do something for people. So that's the thing.
Thank you. Thank you for Rohit and Nadia. I was saying that there are many brave hearts here in this circle. Rohit is one of them. Yeah, he is inspiring many other people with his journey, and I would share his journey also with you in the email. Thank you, Rohit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rohit.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would request Atulji to share.
Yeah, good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening.
It's quite like I'm not like able to come back from what Nadia has shared. Still in that zone. Yeah, it was quite emotional. And yeah, I have never thought like how I would like to be remembered when I'm not here, when I'm gone. But still, I feel one thing like, yes, I want to be a contributing citizen, contribute in any way that I can, not only to the cancer patients or the cancer society, but to society in general. So I try to like ask people like if they need any help in any way, like right now in the time of COVID also, however, whatever I know about the spiritual things or whatever alternate therapies are there, I try to help people as much as possible. So when I'm gone, I would like to be remembered as a contributing citizen who helped the people and never gave up hope. So that is most important thing. We should never give up hope, and we should always be strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I would like people to remember me for.
Yeah. So Atulji, I had this question for you because I am somebody who lost a loved one to cancer. Nadia is someone who lost a person, a sister, soul sister to cancer. And here you are 3 times cancer winner, cancer conqueror. So when you hear stories such as ours, where we lost our loved one, our patient to cancer, and here you are shining, helping other people, has ambition to do many more things. What comes to your mind?
Yeah, there are a lot of things like I can understand very well like the emotional journey that you all have been through, because my caregivers, my family, my wife, my kids, they all have been through the same journey as you all have been through. But yes, what I feel is like, I don't know, everybody's journey is a different journey. So I can't really comment on that. But yeah, I feel like I feel connected with all of your stories. And as we were talking today, that you were saying like that you're not that much educated about cancer during the time that you were facing that journey. So what I feel and what I pray for everyone is like, more and more people get educated about cancer, alternate therapies, or whatever we can do now. And in that, as a healing circle or as our society, whoever are survivors or whoever are like the caregivers who have been through this journey, try to pass on this information or this knowledge and educate more and more people uh, as we can, and by whatever means we can. That is what I can connect by hearing all the stories that we share on these healing circles.
Yeah, thank you, and very well said. Education and empowering people before they are diagnosed, so that they don't get diagnosed with the diseases, and after they are diagnosed, so that they can take care of themselves in a better way and taking right decisions at the right time. As Nadia shared, uh, takeaways from the journey are not ignoring signs and symptoms, because it can really cost you your life. It costed Natesh his life, it costed Vera her life. So very important lessons, and education and empowerment is another thing. So, and we have KPED India with us, who is doing wonderful work in cancer prevention and screening side. So they have worked with I would say lakhs and millions of people on the screening, early detection, so that even if you know you have cancer, you detect it early, so that you can improve your chances of survival, because early detection is the cure. If it's initial stage 1 and 2, it's very much curable, and you can lead a normal life. And if it's and also the cost of treatment is very low if it's detected early. So thank you, KPED, for joining us and also doing the wonderful work in the field of cancer, and now the COVID, helping corona affected patients or helping other people who are in the affected regions, for doing what you do. Thank you so much. Next, I would request Divya Sharma. Thank you for joining us today, and please share how you want people to remember you, since you also have gone through a very deep healing journey. And your story always inspires me. So yes, Divya.
So I actually never thought about.
Can't see you. Thank you.
So I actually never thought about it, that how I want to be remembered. But as I think of it now, uh, I think like I want to be remembered as a happy soul who never gave up even after seeing death so closely, not once but 3 times, and who always believed in giving and giving.
Wow. Thank you. And Divya is a wonderful, she writes beautiful poems. Divya, would you like to share something here? If you remember any of your latest work?
अभी तो जो मैंने हिंदी में लिखा था वो तो
Okay.
कर लिया खुद को तैयार मैंने, पता है सफर बहुत लंबा है, सीख लिया चलना अकेली ही मैंने, कोई आने वाला नहीं साथ मेरे, मुश्किल दौर आया है नसीब में मेरे, आया है तो गुजर भी जाएगा, रखना पड़ेगा भरोसा खुद पर मुझे, संभलना पड़ेगा खुद ही मुझे, कह दो कोई इस खुदा से जाके, ना ले इतने इम्तिहान मेरे, थककर उसे ही लिखनी पड़ेगी खुशियां नसीब में मेरे.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Nadia, I will try to translate it for you. She spoke so well and so fast.
No worries.
Would you like to help me here?
So Divya mentioned a very beautiful poem where she says that the journey is long, the journey is tough, but at the same time, God, if you're giving me so many troubles, you will have to take out the time to write the good stars in my story. Because I will fare well. And after faring well, I will get all the happiness that I want, more than the troubles that you've given me. It's a very beautiful poem, Divya.
Nice.
I hope I have done a little bit of justice to summarize it.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. May I request Shilpa ji to share your...
Hi guys, and hi Dimpy, and hi Kishan.
Hi.
Hey Shilpa, can we see your lovely face?
I'm sorry, but I'm on my way. I'm on the Autobahn.
No problem.
And I cannot, and since we are driving very fast, that's why I barely, sometimes I can, it gets cut, so I can't put on my camera, and I'm on my mobile, so I do not have a good. But first of all, Dimple, it's so nice to see that you're doing all this, and I wanted to get in touch with you yesterday, especially because of this special day for you, which was yesterday, that started your journey. And that's how, I mean, I got to meet you before I was also already into this journey. But Rohit was there yesterday, and he knows, I don't know if you remember, but I had contacted you earlier this year regarding my brother-in-law being sick, and he's managed to merge with light.
Oh, okay.
No, so I told yesterday in the healing circle where Rohit was that people come and say, "Oh, we are sorry, my deepest condolences." I think these are just cultural things that people need to say. But actually, I'm really grateful that he did not have to suffer that long, and I have so much to learn from him. I'll just share with you one little thing which I shared yesterday in the healing circle too. I went and he passed away on Friday night, so Saturday early morning. No, it was Thursday night. I'm not sure. Yeah, Thursday night. Sorry, Thursday night. Yeah. Friday early morning, right? So I went to visit him on Wednesday, and I asked him, Peter, so how are you, Peter? And Peter said, except for the difficulty that I have in breathing, that he had breathing difficulty because the water was in his lungs. Otherwise, I have nothing to complain about. I mean, come on, we could see that he had difficulty, but he always said this, there's nothing to complain about. So, so one thing I would like to be remembered as not a complainer, nothing to complain about. Sorry, I just put away my phone. And there I also thought a great question, because that helps me to see where I'm going in my life right now. And I usually tell, being a yoga therapist, I tell my patients, they should make their life movie now, being aware and making each and every scene that they want to have in their movie. But even this, how would you like to be remembered? I think that's one step further, And I've been thinking about it since you asked me. And I said, I really wish that I would be remembered as a loving, caring person. And Dimple, you are my really the hero, you have given me so much love, and yeah, a loving person. And I just want people to remember me as my message is, all that you have to do in life is to breathe and to smile.
I like that. That's really sweet.
And thank you, Nadya. I could not join you earlier, but Nadya, I'm so proud of you, that you come here to share the story, to even though I myself haven't gone through it much, but just it inspires me, it gives me hope, it encourages me to do work in this field. I wanted to do it, Dimple, but now I think I should really get into it. Thank you very much, guys. I'm sorry, but I have to. I'll have to go now.
Yeah. Thank you for joining, Shilpa. Love you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Yeah.
Take care and big hugs to all of you.
Big hugs.
Big hugs. Kudos. Bye.
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 Thank you. Wonderful way. And Shilpa has her own deep journey. She is living, going through tough times, but I'm sure she'll pass through it. May I request Prakash ji? I think his speaker is not there, so he won't be able to speak. Vijay ji, can I request you to share?
I'm just listening. Joined newly.
Thank you. Would you like to share how you want people to remember you when you leave this physical world?
I won't be able to speak right now.
Like,
Give me some time.
no worries, no problem. Thank you. So thank you and beautiful experiences from everyone. Before even we began the circle, me and Kishan was talking that it's going to be a very deep circle because we are talking about the experiences and especially experience of loss. So if I have to say how I want people to remember me when I die, I want people to remember me as someone who cared and someone who tried. I am very grateful to all of you once again for making this space very sacred, uh, at the same time healing and happy space where we share our emotions. It would have been Nitish's 30th birthday yesterday. It was 27th June, and I got to spend only one birthday with him, which was his 27th birthday. And then before his next birthday, he was not there. But blessed to have all of you in our lives. So, and a special thanks to Nadya for sharing your wonderful journey of caregiving. Of what it means to be a caregiver for a person, and there are difficult decisions which we have to take. The way you stood for your sister, the way you cared for your family is just wonderful, and I'm sure that your lessons of cancer prevention and the wonderful work which you are doing and the ways how you are supporting American Cancer Society and your book as well, it would reach to millions of other people. And I am personally very honored to host you in our today's Healing Circle talks. Blessed to have amazing mothers like Kavita auntie, friend like Atulji, and Divya, Rohit, and everyone else with us. So with this, would close today's Healing Circle. Nadya, any last few words would you like to share?
I've never actually attended one of these before, so I thought it was a really good experience personally. I loved hearing everyone speak, loved meeting you all. And you guys are all heroes and inspiration to many of us and to me as well. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We will close with a minute of silence. We'll just take a minute of silence. What a blessing. Thank you. And Nadya woke up at 4:30 because she is in US and it's now 6 a.m. for you, right?
It is.
Wow.
I'm just about to start my day.
Okay. No, thank you, Nadya, for coming at 4 a.m., getting up at 4 a.m. for this circle, and blessed to have you. Thank you so much, everyone. The next Healing
Thank
Circle.
you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.